Hello world, Freda Reba Darcy and Patricia O'Connor here, and today it is it's a beautiful day out. We've got an interesting mix of clouds and blue sky. It's a little airish, it's probably in the low 60s. Yesterday was quite breezy, so I was watering the trees before I went to work, and that gave me a few minutes to ponder. It's like, well, the wind is blowing about 20 miles an hour. What issues is that going to cause? Moreover, what issues are going to occur to me once I get to work and start worrying about the wind blowing? So, having thought about that, the first thing I did was I checked the water level and everything, and stuff that needed watering got watered. The pine trees, most of those weren't in the watering cycle yet, but then I still have to think about that. Are they going to need watering in this wind in the amount of time that I'm gone? Well, here were my factors. One, it was very cool out, so we weren't going to have a lot of dehydration going on over that. That wasn't going to be one of our concerns. It was in the lower 60s, but the wind really was about 20 miles an hour. So rather than worry about, and so I wasn't thinking that I would have a problem with like wind burn per se. We weren't going to be looking at a situation where we were going to get wind chill. It was too warm for that. But the only thing I would have to worry about is that the wind would cause the leaves to exchange too much water, and then they would go dry during the day. And with the heat not being a factor, that wasn't as much an issue, but I did err on the side of caution and move 3 of my pines over to this space here and allow this guy to do our lighting. Sorry if I don't think that's flat. The time before I did that, that wasn't too bright, and allowed the light above to do our lighting on that. And that was just so that I wouldn't have to worry about them during the day. And to that end, I think that wasn't really a bad call. It may have been overkill, but that also brings up other points. I am going to be at work during some days, and I will likely be at work on days when it's going to be warm. And if it falls on a watering cycle, there are days in every summer where some trees actually will get water more than once a day. So when it's really hot, for instance, and a lot of it evaporates off, and the trees are drinking a lot of it off and transferring a lot of it through their leaves. So for that reason, what will I do on those days? And I've already thought about it, and I'm probably, I'm months away from that. I'm just kind of showing you all the little buds sprouting out on this oak while I'm talking turkey here. But anyway, we're months away from really having to worry about that, but I do have a plan in mind, and what I intend to do is to take drinking cups, like the large cups that you would take if you were going to jog or something. You see people who are always trying to do better about staying hydrated. They'll have these tall cups, and a lot of times they'll come with a straw, and maybe the straw is more permanent. Well, about that, if I had a day where I was concerned about my being gone for 8 hours, and I work like a 7.5 hour day, so travel time and whatever, that's I know, 3 days a week, 7.5 hours. It's like George Jetson hours or something. But anyway, what I will do if I'm ever really concerned of that is I will set up several of those. Between now and the next month, I'll probably get a half a dozen of those large drinking cups, and then I will take out the straw and I will run a very, very long shoestring through the drinking straw, and it will be the kind like it would be comparable to one that you might see if you had a Nike high top tennis shoe. Those things are cotton and a mile long. So I'm going to take one end of that and stick it through the straw, and then take a clothes hanger or something and poke it all the way through. And when I've got one end all the way out, I'm going to tie it around a nut or something so that it's got a little bit of weight to it and won't come falling back out of there. Then I'm going to allow that to run down to the bottom of the drinking cup, and I'm going to fill the drinking cup full of water. And then I would take the other end of the string and I would lace it around in a spiral. I would lace it around in a spiral around the pot with the drinking cup sitting beside it. The drinking cup sitting here, shoelace coming out of the cup, and making a spiral around the pot. Now, here's what, personal observation, whenever the water hits one end of that cotton shoestring, you can actually see, and just, I mean, it is remarkably fast how fast that shoestring, cotton shoestring, will soak up that water. So when you lay that on the ground, it will actually work like a tiny little soaker hose. And at the end of the day, when you come home, the top of the soil may or may not still look dry, but if you lift up your shoestring, you'll see that it's wet underneath. And it will have been wet underneath, and the roots underneath where that is will have been taking up water all day, and that will be your hedge against a really hot day in July when it's uncommonly 100 degrees and I have to go to work, and so I'll water everything once and then worry as to whether or not we're going to run into trouble or not. That would be a day to set out my little drinking cup squad and set up the strings along the baseline on top. That's called a Wick system. That's a version of a Wick system. There's another version of a Wick system where you actually run a rope or the wick up into the holes of the bottom of the pot. That's not necessarily a bonsai thing. That's just what people would do. It's kind of like hydroponics or something. They would then fill up the reservoir on a timer a couple of times a day, and you could do that. You could actually set up something that would like flush a toilet tank or something, and then once a day it would do this flush and fill up the tank, and then all the little lines would I think before I would do that, I would just not go on vacation. But yeah, I mean, there's all kind of contraptions that'll get you out of that. Main thing I'm just really glad about for me personally is I'm not going to be working a full 40-hour work week. I'm going to try to incorporate three light days a week into my shooting schedule, and that should, that's just enough to shake things up and keep me fluid and stuff. So and the ways that I'm going to work out to make sure that doesn't catch me out is I will have to, I never leave the house without making sure that my trees have been watered. With 16, 17 trees, there's never a day that some of them don't need at least some water. The cypress trees get watered every day. The wisterias pretty much get watered every single day. The other things taper off in need. The oaks appreciate it every 3 days at least, but can go probably longer, or probably about as long as the ponderosas. So it's just getting used to all those guys. But if I ever had to worry about that one day that I'm not going to be there in the middle of a heat spell or something, I think my the danger of that is, of course, the overwatering. But if you only use the Wick system, because you're not going to stop watering it, it's going to continue to empty whatever you're using as a reservoir as long as until it empties, or until it but that's not really like a flood of water, and it's more like a hedge a hedge against a really, really hot day. And hopefully we won't have too many of those, and hopefully too many of them won't fall on my work days when I can't come home and check the trees at lunch. Although, here's the other thing. It is a part-time job on my end, and I would, if it were 100 degrees, I would probably come home and check my trees. After all, it's my trees versus a part-time job. I mean, I like my job, but come on. So yeah, Pat has her priorities in place. We think that we can do this without hurting anybody. On days when we think we might be able to get called on it, we do have a little plan that we're going to put at our disposal, and we'll probably be able to show you at some time or another. It'll be how we will incorporate the Wick system. And I'm not going to do anything too elaborate. I've got a little bit of space in between every tree, and if I needed to set up a big gulp cup, which is what we call them here in the United States, a big gulp cup or something with a mile-long shoestring coming out of the straw. And I say the straw, using the straws, because that just seems to me to be a neat way to do it. You've got a straw coming out of the top that's bendable and stuff, and you can just like kind of hang that over the pot, and then you've got this wick line coming down, and that's going to water your tree until that thing goes dry, and it probably wouldn't go dry even on the hottest day in the amount of time I'm gone. But you know what? I can't. It's not a scientific experiment. I haven't done it yet. I just know from past experience that I would do that with milk jugs, so that I wouldn't have to worry about watering my plants while I was at work. So I know it's a system that works, and it's pretty simple to do, and it doesn't really cost anything. So yeah, that's how I'll get out of that. Yesterday, when I was concerned about the wind, I brought this one, and this one, and I set them right there. That lowered them down. It took them out of the wind. I don't know that the wind would have been any problem, but I do know that I would have been at work listening to my coworkers complain about the signage blowing around outside and worrying about my trees. And I know that every time I heard that, I thought, well, I'm kind of glad I brought my trees out of the wind. Just something less to worry about. So yeah, that's what's going on there. Everybody else is, as I've been showing you, the oaks are budding out. It's just budding out bunches and bunches. And on the other side, on the other side of the tree, it's trying to be really sneaky. There's about 6 shoots coming out over here on this side that it thinks I can't see. Yeah, they're not gonna. Yeah, there they are. Sorry, you're not necessarily in the plan. Tonight when the sun goes down, I'll probably give everybody a little bit of neem. I'm seeing some tiny little specks on the leaves. That might not mean anything, or that might mean that. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to apply any oil to any of the foliage during the heat of the day. But it probably wouldn't hurt to make these leaves a little nice and waxy. And those little buds are just coming out all over. That almost looks like a little rosebud because of the color and the shape of it and everything. That pink, that salmony pink color. So yeah, that's what's going on there, and that's probably just a little chat about what precautions I'll take while I'm hanging out at the hardware store. I enjoy working at hardware stores. It gives me a chance to exercise my MacGyver on a daily basis. Customers come in and they want to hang things and they don't know what their wall's made of. So, we have to talk them down and or customers come in and their hinges are broken or something, and they, I just know a million tricks. I'm just absolutely a good person to have around in a hardware store. it's just the amount of running I do. I can't help but hit the ground running. And even at 7.5 hours, I come in and my feet are so tired. And I'm going, yeah, it's a good thing you're not doing this. It's a good thing you're not doing this 40 hours a week anymore, because I don't think your legs are up for it. Maybe I'll get into shape. Maybe this is just my shape. You know, that's the way it goes. So, another long look at these cypress trees. We're just waiting on them to start budding out. Like I've been mentioning, they're taking in a lot of water, so I would expect to start see some of that water to start moving some of this foliage. These little bumps, like I was pointing out 2 days ago, are very much more pronounced than they were during the heart of winter. And everything looks like it's getting ready to start coming out with things in the cypress tree realm. And the other trees aren't waiting. They're already doing their thing. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you are having a great day wherever you are. I appreciate you. Frida appreciates you. And our next drop will be our Saturday drop. Oh, a quick look, a quick check on the California coastal redwood seeds, and we still have nothing really to show, although they could probably go. They've already been missed. I have to mist these several times a day, and whenever I go to work, I just pour a little bit of water in there. I just kind of make an S with a little bit of water in the tray so that they don't dry out. But we'll just keep doing this until something grows. Eventually something will grow. Also, what was really weird was I had those in a small plastic tub that was full of those little cones, and before I deposited them into the tray over that top layer, into my little brownie tray, I filled it full of water and let them soak overnight. And the next day, that water was surprisingly red. It was redder than little Frida here, but I was kind of surprised by that. It was kind of cool looking. I mean, it wasn't like gory red or nothing, but it was just a beautiful red color from soaking in those redwood cones. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys on Saturday.